Hello, fourth graders. Welcome back to Science with Mrs. Adams. For this lesson today, you are going to need your salmon packet. So if you need to grab that, go ahead and pause the video. Once you have it, let's push play, and here we go. We're going to be working on lesson 1.1 today. Where in the world is our water? So in front of you, you are going to have this diagram. And you're going to use this diagram, this example, to draw in your salmon packet. So again, you're going to want to pause the video to draw this diagram. Once you're finished, we're going to take a look. Where in the world is our water? Where is it stored? As you can see from your diagram, it's stored as ice in the polar ice caps and glaciers. It's also stored in our atmosphere as clouds. It's stored in salt water in our oceans and bays. It's stored in the groundwater. And it's also stored in our surface water, as in our lakes, our swamps, and our rivers. So we're going to use those as our vocabulary words today. Once you turn to the next page, you will see a grid, and you're going to be drawing 3 10 by 10 arrays. They will look like this. So pause the video and draw 3 10 by 10 arrays. You may remember that our world, 3/4 of our world, contains water. Now, of that water, we're going to be breaking it down into total water, fresh water, and salt water. Okay, so let's take a look at the first grid. Once you fill in the grid, you will have 97 of your squares filled in one color. Doesn't matter what color you use, but 90% of our total water on the world is salt water, which leaves 3% that is made up of fresh water. So you're going to use a different color to fill in 3 of those 100 squares, which represents 3%. When you are ready to move on, we're going to look at our next 10 by 10 grid, which represents that fresh water. Now remember, the fresh water is only 3% of the world's water. So let's take a look. Of that fresh water, 68.7% is stored in our ice caps and our glaciers. So you're going to choose a color, and you're going to, as best you can, color in 68.7%. The next place that our fresh water is stored is our groundwater, and you will see that it is stored 30.1% of our fresh water is stored as our groundwater. You choose another color to color that in the best you can. 0.3% or 0.3% of our fresh water comes from surface water. And the other fresh water that we're just going to use as a different color and call it other is just 0.9%. So again, use this example to color in how much of our water is fresh water. When you are finished with that, let's take a look at our surface water. So now we're looking at our fresh water again, but how much of it is surface water? So you can see that a whopping 87% is in our lakes. So I would like you to choose any color and color 87 of those 100 squares that represents 87%. You will then notice that in our swamps, it is 11%. So color in 11 of those 100 squares as swamps that represents 11%. The last 2% of our fresh water is stored in our rivers. So grab a third color and color in 2%. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that is where our water is stored. We're going to be using this information for a video in the future. Thanks for listening.